Ted Cruz, so misunderstood, and he's a good friend of Ben's. And Melissa, you ever met Ted Cruz?
I have not.
All right. Again, he's not. I'm not saying he's a perfect person. He's done so many principled things in the last few weeks that he doesn't get enough credit for, because first of all, I think most of them he's taken the right view, but they're principled, right? Stood up to anti-Semitism in the party, stood up to the use of the FCC to try to intimidate private companies, stood up on tariffs, stood up on education reform. Ben, I'm missing one. What's the one I'm missing? He did one other big thing, criticized the administration on something else. I don't remember what it was.
The point, there's been a lot lately.
Yeah. The point is, these are all what he truly believes. And anyone in public life who does what they truly believe, particularly if they're on what I believe the right side, kudos to Ted Cruz. But what this has led to is a number of people telling me, including when I was at Mar-a-Lago last week, not name dropping, location dropping, one of the most smartest people in the Republican Party said to me, well, Mark, you know Ted's running against J.D. Vance no matter what. I was like, oh, yeah, of course I know that. Well, then I checked. It turned out it's true. So, Ben, do you talk to your friend Ted about his 2028 secret presidential campaign?
Look, I think what Ted's doing right now, and I spend a lot of time with him, as you know, I co-host a podcast with him, and he's one of my best friends, is he's saying, I am going to say what I believe. I am not going to be bashful. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, even if that is maybe against something that somebody else in the party says. But I'm also going to work really well with him on certain issues. I mean, you look at Ted Cruz. He's been at the White House, I think, 3 times this week for major announcements, including the accounts that he was behind and really spearheaded that have now turned into Trump accounts, right? Like, there's certain things he's like, I will work with you, but if I disagree, I will say why I disagree. Does that mean it's a presidential campaign? I don't know if I would say it.
Well, Ben, you've left me 2 choices. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's 2 choices. Either you're lying because he secretly told you all about his secret plan to run for president, or one of your best friends is keeping from you the fact that he's secretly planning to run for president. Which is it, Ben?
I'll go back to, it's no secret that Ted Cruz, since he was very young, has said he wants to be president of the United States of America. And so I don't look at it as a secret. I think that's clear.
Non-responsive. He's running in 2028. Everybody's telling me.
Look, I think there's a very good chance you're going to see Ted Cruz's name. I've said it multiple times on TV that I think Ted Cruz is going to be in the mix. But I also think what he's doing right now is what he would do regardless of that. And that's why I think it's so principled. It's like some of these decisions, a political operative would say, don't do that. Don't say that right now. And so that's what I like about it, is that it's not a campaign as much as this is what I believe. Yeah. Do I think he's running for president? Yes. I think Ted Cruz it would be a great president. I've said that before as well. But I also think this is who Ted Cruz is. And he's not going to back down at this age.
100% agree with you. It has the advantage of he's doing what he thinks is right. He's speaking out and being courageous, but it's also going to help him. Melissa, imagine the donor community. I know it's the other party. He's taking the pro-Israel position, the pro-free market position, the anti-tariff position. Wouldn't that? And the other piece of this is the group that's most unhappy with the prospect of just a coronation of J.D. Vance is the donors. The donors don't want to see just give it to him, in part because they want competition, in part because they don't like a lot of the policies. So, Melissa, wouldn't Ted Cruz, in fact, be well positioned to potentially challenge J.D. Vance?
I don't pretend to be an expert of Republican primary politics, but I would say that I also think that going into the end of Trump, I think we may be we don't know yet what the Trump MAGA fatigue is going to be in another year and a half. Let's see how the midterms go. But I certainly think that there's going to be an opening with someone who's taking those positions and people who are hungry for a change and not just a coronation or an extension of, Trump 3.
All right.
So coronation is the core word there, Mark. I got to say, I think the Republican movement, even if it wasn't Ted Cruz, wants a grand debate. And they do not want a coronation. They do not want anything that looks remotely close to what happened with VP Harris. They want a grand debate. And look, if you look at paper, do I think the VP has the best chance right now of being the front runner? Of course. Does he have Turning Point and things like that behind him as an apparatus? Of course he does. But does that mean that voters just say, okay, everyone else stay home? We don't want to have a grand debate in Iowa or New Hampshire. No, the Republican Party wants a debate.
But let me ask you a question. What if Donald Trump endorses J.D. Vance? Do they still want a debate?
I don't know. I think there's some MAGA people that just say whatever Trump's going to say, they're going to do that. And that's certainly a solid base for you. But if I'm a candidate, looking at the fatigue that could possibly come up, as she just described perfectly, Is there a way to have that debate? And even if Trump gets involved early on, I think there probably is. I don't think this election coming up is going to be like it was with DeSantis v. Trump. That was dumb. DeSantis should have dropped out way earlier. As soon as Trump was actually indicted, he should have immediately suspended his campaign. He made a huge political error there. But look, Donald Trump is not going to be on the ballot this next time. And Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and no one else is him.
If I was going to do a focus group to test how the base feels about Ted Cruz, geographically, where would be the smartest place to do it? And demographically, who would be the smartest people to include? If I wanted to get a sense.
Yeah, no, I think number one, anyone that cares about national security and foreign policy issues, that would going to rate really well for him, because he's not an isolationist. He understands there's places you do need to get involved. He's also not in favor of going into Iraq, Afghanistan, and that type of scenario as well. I think he would do very well there. I also think he's going to do very well with people that understand the economy and how it's growing, things like crypto and bringing things to America. I think he's very pro on that. He's been a leader on things like that with new technology and AI at the forefront. He's a good friend with Elon Musk on those types of issues. He would poll very well there. I also think on national security domestically, like the southern border, he has been leading for so long on border security. That will do well for him as well.
Before we switch to Democrats, we'll go back to Melissa. Ben, I know he's your friend. Where would the weaknesses be in a focus group? What do you think people would say that would be less positive amongst Republican primary voters, caucus goers? What do you think his vulnerabilities are?
Look, I think this is one of the things I love doing with him is getting people to know Ted Cruz. If you have dinner with him, you realize he's a really likable and funny guy. He loves movie and pop culture. Yeah. Those types of things are what I try to pull out in him when we do the show. And so I think those are things where we can improve because he is a wonky guy and loves the country, but he gets in the weeds on issues. And sometimes you got to dial a little bit of that back.
Melissa is a Democrat. She's already said you've never met him. What are your impressions of his personality? Some people think he's a huge phony. Ben and I don't. Ben and I think he's quite principled. What are your impressions of him? Just a person.
I think that he could be, and this is a crazy thing to say about someone who's been in politics for as long as he has, a little bit of a blank slate in reintroducing himself to people. I still think of Ted Cruz from his failed presidential run a few years ago, which was not a pretty scene. But I think that right now, people are so hungry. I think that there's an opening for Republicans who are willing to moderate. Let me put it that way. I think that the MAGA movement is starting to fray. We've seen that with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think we're going to see that with the end of Trump, because to your point, none of these people are Trump. Trump is Trump. Only he has that handle on the base the way that he does. And I think that with the rise of anti-Semitism and the rise of socialism and the DSA and the Democratic Party, you're going to see a lot of politically homeless Democrats who are willing to revisit some people if they're okay in the middle. So I think that if Ted Cruz or if any Republican is willing to play more of a John McCain type role, more of a Mitt Romney type role of I'm reasonable, I can be in the middle, I can talk to everyone, I may be from Texas and have this Texas drawl, but I can talk to people in the Northeast and in the middle and in the West Coast, and I can be reasonable and I'll stand up to anti-Semitism. I think that there's an opening for any Republican who's willing to sort of meet people in the middle. And I think there's going to be a desire on the Democratic side to look for some alternative if it's someone who's palatable.
If you're a homeowner in America, you need to listen to this. The FBI has been warning you about a type of real estate fraud. It's on the rise and it's called title theft, and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals, they forge your signature on a single document. Then they apply a fake notary stamp. Then they file it with the county. And boom, just like that, on record, they own your home. Using your ownership, they can take out loans against your equity. They can even sell your property. And you're not going to know about any of this until the foreclosure or collection notices show up in your mailbox. That's why I'm partnering with Home Title Lock, so you can protect your equity and find out right now, today, if you are already a victim of this crime. Use my promo code MARK at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title records, urgent alerts to any changes that occur, and if fraud does happen, their US-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. That's HometitleLock.com. Use the promo code MARK.